Hi, it's Peter Tebow. For my PBA, I chose to create a text set. The reason why I decided to create a text set is because I felt that a text set would be something that I'd actually be able to use in my classroom down the road as a history AYA major who's going to be teaching middle and high school. A text set's a great way to compile a bunch of different genres of material that cover a certain topic. So what I decided to do was choose something from American history that I thought was relevant and could teach students a multitude of valuable lessons, as well as just learning about the event in and of itself. So what I decided to do was focus my text set on the Underground Railroad, and I chose a variety of different works, 4 books, and then a film in order to best demonstrate um, the information that the students would need during these few lessons. So I thought that it was important to choose something like the Underground Railroad because not only does it teach the students about what the Underground Railroad was and how important it was, especially for pre-war and post-war America, post-Civil War, but also it really teaches the students what courage is. That it can be really hard to do the right thing, but once you start to do it, other people will join you, and that we can all work together to try and create a better place than we live in currently. So for my first book, I chose Harriet Tubman, a biography. This biography is for ages 14 to 17. And basically, it just covers the life of, I think, the most important person when you talk about the Underground Railroad, that is Harriet Tubman. It talks about how she was a slave, what led her to escape, how she escaped, and then her incredible life spent relentlessly helping other slaves to escape. She served as a nurse, a cook, and a scout, as well as a spy for the Union Army during the Civil War. And she was one of the first women's suffrage movement activists post-war. I think that she is a very important historical character, and that learning the most you can about her is not only helpful to learn more about the Underground Railroad, but really how it all began. Um, so the second work that I chose was The Underground Railroad, Life on the Road to Freedom. So basically, this work is for ages 12 plus, and it's a compilation of different primary and secondary sources from this time era, pre and during and post Civil War. So, for example, it has some of the uh, narratives from Frederick Douglass, some of the text from the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, the escape of William and and Ellen Craft, and even more. So, with this book, I wanted to pair up an activity of Sum It Up, where the students could work in pairs, and they sum up one of the stories that they read about during this book, and then they all can, present them to each other in class. The third book that I chose was Night John. Night John is a historical fiction, ages 12 plus, and basically it talks about a slave who goes into different plantations and teaches the slaves how to read and write because he believes that knowledge is freedom. And I thought that this was a good book because not only does it teach about the dangers of the Underground Railroad, about living on a plantation, but it also, shows the students that knowledge and learning is not something to be taken for granted because, without it, there are a lot less things that you can do. And knowing that knowledge is of such high importance, I think could interest and spark the students to really pay attention more and care a little bit about what they're learning at the time. The fourth is Henry's Freedom Box. And the reason why I chose this book, it is a little bit of an easier book to read. However, it's a captivating true story about a boy who ships himself, or a man at this point, who ships himself in a box on a 27-hour journey to Philadelphia in order to earn his freedom. And he does do it. With this box, there's a lot of great illustrations, and so what I thought students could do to relate the struggles of having to do something really hard to something that they may have had to do. So a sketch to stretch activity would be paired with that. and the students could then draw something that they thought was really meaningful and important in their life, something that they had to do, whether that was, moving out of a childhood home, or telling the truth in a moment where you knew you could have gotten in trouble for it instead of lying, or something that you had to do that required, courage, or um, whatever it might be. The last one that I had, that I chose was a movie called A Race to Freedom. It is an unrated film. However, there were multiple comments in the film section and online that I read that talked about how it was used for the high school classroom or in a classroom setting, and that it was very appropriate. It was a great depiction of, what it was like to have to travel. It's a story of four slaves who leave North Carolina and travel north to Canada, and it's basically just covers their journey against the treachery of the weather and also of the slavers who are chasing them down. So this is what I decided to do for my social studies text set. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.